High performance teams were quite the buzzword at some point in time. But what does it actually mean, and how can you ensure that your team is a high performance team? Well, in this two-part series, I'll be sharing with you how you can build a high performance team. And then in part 2, I'm going to share with you how to maintain that high performance team. So let's jump in. Leading as a woman is tough, but leading as a woman of faith is next level. However, it doesn't have to be that way. God has called you into this leadership role because He says you are worthy. You are His child, and if He qualifies you, who in this world can unqualify you? You might suffer from imposter syndrome and believe you're not good enough, but God says you are good enough. Hi, I'm Rika, Whelan, Christian leader and workplace culture coach, and together we're going to navigate leadership with faith as our foundation. Let's get started. Grab your coffee or water, keep that notebook and pen handy, and let's jumpstart your leadership. So when it comes to high performance teams, I think that everybody wants to believe that their team is performing well and that, your team is the one to beat. A bit of a competition within the departments, or just a bit of frantic competition within yourself, knowing that your team is doing very well. But having a high performance team is not really about competing against others or thinking that my team is better than others. It's actually just about your team performing very well and then performing to such an extent that your team can get more things done than any other team, for example. Now, if you refer back to the episode where I spoke about the 5 stages of team development, which you can go and have a look at, that is episode number 13. So episode number 13, 5 stages every team goes through, the Tuckman model. So in that episode, I talk about the 5 stages, and the 4th stage in this episode is the performing phase. Now, to get your team into this performing phase, there are a couple of things that you need to do to help your team. It's not just going to happen naturally. Sometimes it does, because it depends on the individuals and the dynamics of that team. However, there are actually things that you can do as a leader to help your team to get into that performing phase and then also to stay in that performing phase. So staying in that performing phase or maintaining it is part number 2 of this series. So let's talk about how you can build that high performance team, how you can get your team into that 4th stage of performing very well. Well, the first thing that needs to happen is there needs to be clear goals and objectives. As a leader, you need to set clear and measurable goals that align with your team's and your company's vision, mission, and overall strategy. So you need to make sure that for your team to be able to perform well together, they need to know what they're working towards. Okay, so yes, you might have some goals that they're working towards, maybe individual KPIs. But remember, if you want to build a high performance team, the team has got to have these clear goals and objectives that they need to work towards together. And every single person in that team needs to play their part, because if they don't, then they're not going to meet those clear goals and objectives. I think the other thing when it comes to clear goals and objectives, I said there that it needs to be clear and measurable. The thing with measurability is that you need to be able to go and measure to see whether they have achieved those goals. So you need to not only set those goals and objectives, but you need to also keep them accountable in terms of how we're going to meet it. And then you need to celebrate once they have achieved those measurable goals and objectives. So there needs to be some form of celebration. There needs to be something that they're working towards, maybe even a visual of how they can see how they're meeting this objective. So if there's a weekly meeting, or if there is a monthly meeting or a quarterly meeting, they need to be able to see how they've done with these clear objectives. So don't just give them the objective and the goal and then Bob's your uncle, they need to just work through it together. No, you need to get this team to work together, celebrate together, and also see how they have worked together to this as a team. So that's going to be your number 1. Number 2 needs to be effective communication. So there needs to be open, honest, and transparent communication within the team, including active listening and then providing of feedback. So yes, as a leader, it is your role, and I've spoken about this many times on the podcast as well, it's your role to role model open, honest, and transparent communication, but then for you to show active listening and then provide feedback. But now the shift is to the team. So now it's not only you as the leader who are displaying a role model in these things. In the team, they are going to practice open, honest, and transparent communication. They're going to practice active listening, and they're going to provide feedback to each other. So this is a key part of building a high-performing team, is that they're able to communicate well, they're able to listen to each other well, and they're able to provide each other with feedback. So it moves away from just you as the leader, but to them as a team doing these things well. And then the thing with receiving feedback is sometimes somebody can feel offended when they receive feedback. So you need to make it clear within the team that if somebody gives you feedback, don't take it personal. This is the thing about a high performance team, is that we're able to listen, that active listening to the feedback that person is giving me, see their perspective, and listen with the intention to understand, not to respond. Because if you do that, it means that you're understanding where they're coming from. It's not about responding, but it's understanding why they have given you that feedback. So that's number 2 when it comes to building a high performance team. So yes, you've got some work ahead of you, but I believe in you and I know that you can do it. It's completely possible. The third thing is strong leadership. So initially, your role as the leader is to foster a positive team culture, to motivate the team members, and then to provide guidance and support. But this will then move to the team itself. So to have a high-performing team, you need to identify individuals that will be able to maintain that culture within the team. So yes, you will foster that positive team culture, but you need to identify people within your team that can run with it. Because remember, as a leader, you're not always there. You're not always going to be part of the team. Sometimes as leaders, we're out of the team and we don't get to do all the things inside the team is what we do. It kind of just depends. Maybe you're a project leader and then you are with that team all the time. But if you're like a line manager or, you don't work with the team on the floor, for example, or we're in their cubicles, you're in your office, then that's what I mean, is that you're not with them all the time. So therefore, it's important that you identify individuals and have a chat with them, even if you have a chat with all of them, and say that, okay, I need your help. We need to maintain the positive culture. If you see someone wavering, if you see someone falling, I need you to help and pick them up. So this is going to be very important because the team needs to be able to pick each other up without you as the leader getting involved. Okay. There needs to be people in that team who motivate each other, even all of them. They need to be able to motivate each other. It needs to not fall back on you. This is the difference between a high performance team and just a normal team. Normal teams have leaders like yourself who motivate them, who's positive, who's constantly fostering positive team culture and all this communication and things that I've already mentioned. The difference is the high performance team, they are doing it themselves. Okay, so you need people in your team to motivate. So those people who are like the Energizer Bunnies. Okay, I don't know if you know who the Energizer Bunny is, but there was an advert in South Africa with there was a battery. It was a battery company who was advertising, and they had this Energizer Bunny. So if you put those batteries in, the Energizer Bunny would be hopping around and be very excited. So my South African listeners would understand who that is, so the Energizer Bunny. So yes, you want those people who are like the opposite of the energy vampires. The energy vampires are those people who suck the life out of you. Okay, no, we don't want that. We don't want those people. We want to change the energy vampires into energizer bunnies, okay? We want people to motivate each other, and we want those people to lift people up when they're feeling down, okay? And then providing guidance and support. So yes, when there are people in your team that you know that are stronger than other people. Why? Because of knowledge and skill and expertise. So you need to identify those people to be able to provide each other with support as well. So remember, when building a high performance team, it's taking it away from you and handing it over over to your team so that they can fully function as a team without you as a leader. Okay. Number 4 is shared values and culture. Okay, so creating a shared sense of purpose, values, and culture that drives team performance and engagement. Okay, so yes, initially you are going to be creating this shared sense of purpose, value, and culture within your team. Okay, but then the team needs to be able to take that over. They, within themselves, have got this shared sense of purpose. So that those goals and things that they're working towards and those objectives. But it's more than just goals and objectives. It's a purpose as to why they need to get out of bed every single morning. The feeling that they get on a Sunday night before they have to come to work on a Monday. Shared sense of purpose. So we want them to know that this team needs to perform well because we're working towards a purpose. So they need to know what that is. And there needs to be a bigger purpose than just them, than just the company, than just the vision and the mission of the company. There needs to be something greater than that. The values. So yes, people have different values at home because of their culture and religion. However, when they come to work, they need to know that, okay, we've got shared values here. We value integrity. We value everybody working very hard and not just coming in late. Let's say, for example, we value people being on time. We value people giving their best. So you guys need to come up with what are these values. And it needs to be separate from the organization's values or the company's values. It needs to be what the team values. And everybody is going to work towards that standard of those values and keep each other accountable as well. And then the last one that I mentioned was that culture that drives team performance and engagement. So again, it really comes down to that fostering that positive team culture and then having that culture drive the team performance and engagement. So, things like gossip will have absolutely no place in a high performance team. Things like putting other people down will not be part of a high performance team. It just doesn't have a place in there. Looking at other organizations and comparing yourself doesn't have a place in a high performance team because it's about the team. It's about that shared purpose, that shared values, and that motivation for those clear goals and objectives. And then the final thing that you want to do when you're building a high performance team is you want to build trust and respect within your team. So building trust and respect amongst those team members will create a collaborative and supportive environment. So it's kind of impossible to build a high performance team if the team does not trust and respect each other. Of all the things that I've just mentioned above about clear goals and objectives, effective communication, strong leadership, shared values and culture, you cannot have any of that if there's no trust and respect amongst your team. So this is a tricky one, but how you build trust and respect is basically by implementing all the things that I've just mentioned. Getting the team to work well together, getting the team to have those shared values, getting the team to communicate well with each other, to show active listening. Because remember, if somebody is trying to give somebody else feedback and that person keeps on interrupting him or her, it can be perceived as quite disrespectful. So showing active listening with the intention of understanding and not responding, that's showing respect. And so we also want to define what respect looks like at work, because remember, respect looks differently in various cultures. So you and your team need to go and sit down and decide, what does respect in the workplace look like? What does respect in this team look like? And you will get truly amazing perspectives from your team and see what they agree is respect for them in the workplace. Get them to agree upon what will respect look like amongst this team. And if you do these 5 things, you will start to build a high performance team. And remember, you don't only have to do this with one team. Remember, then you're going to get a new team member. Or if you're a project leader, you might move on to new projects with new people. Then you can build a new high performance team. You can become the expert in building high performance team and then be so highly regarded. People will want you because you are able to build high performing teams. Okay, now if you would like a coaching session with me and have me help you through building a high performance team, that's something that you can do by booking a call with me. So you can email me at support@rikawhelan.com, or you can follow the link and just book a call straight into my diary. Just be mindful of the time difference. I am in Western Australia, which means that if you're in America, for example, you might have it might have to be a late night call for you. But it doesn't matter. I'm flexible as well. My calendar might not seem very flexible, but if you just email me at support@rikawhelan.com, we can come up with a time that's suitable for us both. And I can help you. I can support you. I do coaching as part of my business. And yeah, I'm here to help and support you if you want to become that expert in building a high performance team. Now, in the next episode, part 2, I'm going to be chatting with you on how you can maintain your team. Because remember, now you've built that high performance team. But how can you ensure that you actually maintain that high performance team? Because it's not just about those 5 things that I just mentioned. Yes, those things are great. However, there's a couple of things that you need to do to ensure that this team remains a high performing team. Okay, so I look forward to sharing that in the next episode with you. Come and join the Facebook group at womenoffaithinleadership.com, or you can go straight to Facebook and search for Women of Faith in Leadership Community. You can find us there. Please make sure that you answer all the questions and agree to the group rules, and provide me with your email address as well, because I don't spam you. So that's one thing that any of the listeners that's in my Facebook group knows, that I don't spam. I'm an anti-spam person. I don't like that. So you will literally just get a weekly email with the link to the episode, and maybe some extra little bit of bips and bobs, or if I'm running a free workshop, which I will be doing very shortly as well. So there's a free workshop coming up. So make sure that you're on my email list so that you can get a link to the free workshop. And then, just come and connect with me in the Facebook group. That's mainly where I am, other than LinkedIn. So you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Just find me, Rika Whelan. You'll find me on LinkedIn, but I'll also pop the link in the show notes for you. Well, I hope you're enjoying the rest of your day, and I look forward to chatting with you again next week about maintaining your high-performing team. See ya. Thanks so much for listening. If this podcast blessed you in some way, the number one way you can thank me is by leaving a review. Your feedback means the world to me and lights me up every single time when I read it, and it makes me want to keep going. So please leave a review, and your review will also help other Christian women in leadership find the answers they are looking for. So whether you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the review section and leave that review. Then head over to womenoffaithinleadership.com and join our free Facebook community, and I look forward to engaging with you there.